I've been in Paraguay for around 3 months, a bit more than 3 months. I thought I'd do a video on the different type of weather I've experienced here. Given that I had a bunch of questions on the weather before arriving here, and mostly on Facebook, they were telling me, I was like, okay, winter 30 degrees, summer 40 degrees. And I couldn't really get useful information from the people. I'm not sure if it was like, I always say that weather is actually very subjective. And so it's hard to get a viewpoint on that, basically. All right, so my background is basically I lived in Indonesia for 15 years. I've been living in Europe for 20 years. And so I've seen really different type of weather. I spent quite some time in Hong Kong. So based on that, I've got different perspective on what is the weather here. So first things first, I would start by something a bit unusual. It's variability. So you're gonna have a day at 35 degrees. The next day could be between 15 to 20 degrees. So basically, temperature change of way more than 10 degrees up to 15 and 20 degrees happen here. And I want to mention that because it's not easy to process for your body. It's a bit like, okay, yesterday I was in t-shirt, today basically I've got to put a sweater or even a jacket. And this is common, right? This is also a pattern that I've seen in Europe and to some extent in Asia. So usually this change comes from a heavy rain overnight or during the morning, and then temperature drop a lot when you wake up, basically. I've been arriving during winter time here, so from April to, let's say, late September. There has been a period where it was quite cold, and you feel the cold even more as the insulation of the house is poor. The houses here are not made for winter. There's many places on Earth where, the house were not built for winter time at all. So when there is a drop of temperature or temperature are low, then to explain it very clear, you can be in Canada, it can be minus 30 outside, but you can be warm in your house and the winter goes fine, it's okay, you don't feel cold during the winter. But here, if it's 5 degrees and your insulation is bad, in your house it's gonna be 10, 15 degrees. They have a lot of aircon, but so they are sometimes reversible, they can make heat. But still, it's not really heating the house. You will need a good fireplace or central heating in the house to really bring the temperature to a good 20 degrees, right? Given that the construction standards are quite poor here, it means that it can be cold in your house. And so, for instance, I was told by a friend, it's only like 5 to 10 days a year here. It's going to be really cold. No, it's more than 5 to 10 days a year. It can be multiple weeks a year when it's cold. And so even in winter, you're going to still have days where the temperature will go to 30, 35 degrees. Yesterday, so we are in September, yesterday the temperature went up to 35 degrees. It can be just a natural 35, or it can be triggered by other elements or combined with other elements. In this regard, in winter time, you can have fire. So fire seems to be started by farmers to renew the land for fresh pasture for the cows. And in that context, with the wind or the absence of wind, you've got a lot of particles in the air. And I suspect that combined with the sun ray from the sun, it's basically trapping the heat and just exacerbating the heat. And so the feeling you have in that context is that sometimes you have place on Earth where it's like 35, 40 degrees, but you feel good, right? Like blue sky and the air is ventilated and there's no particle in the air. But here the particle can stay in suspension, so you feel extremely stuffy. It feels stuffy. Some people have difficulty breathing, some people cough. So factor this in, especially for anyone in your family that would have potentially breathing difficulty as soon as there is a higher concentration of particle in the air. People who have asthma and things like that. So these are things that you can treat, of course, right? But if you don't know that before you come here, you could have a period of time where your body will have problems, and it will be difficult for it to manage that. What else in regard to the weather? There is quite some wind. I'm actually not surprised because I asked the question before coming here, and a lot of people couldn't really answer me. But if you look at the geography of Paraguay, then when I look at the relief of Paraguay and where it's located, I was assuming there's already wind. And yes, there is wind actually. There's wind in the plain, and so you would potentially want to look at windy.com to look at where the wind usually comes from. They do a chart on a yearly basis telling you the percentage of wind coming from south, north, east, west. This is actually useful. And there might be something you want to consider when you buy a property or when you want to live at some place, because if you are constantly under the wind, then it's not fun. To the point where some of my friends explained me that the way they build properties with, for instance, a wall facing the south side, because in some areas, for instance, in La Colmena, the wind seems to be coming from the south, so you place a wall that really cut the wind. And because if you are for having properties before that are constantly under the wind, it's not fun at all. At some point, it's just like, no, enough of that. And that's for the wind. For the rain, so rain patterns. The rain can last for 1 to 2 days. It's not those rain that you can get in, for instance, in Singapore or in Bangkok, where it is going to rain. It's stuffy. Then 3 p.m. it starts to rain, shower for half hour or 45 minutes, like massive shower, and then clear blue sky, and then wow, really open blue sky and stuff like that. No. The rain is going to last for 1 to 2 days, often here. And something to factor in means it impact your activity, impact also your mood, impact what you like, right? What else in terms of weather? That's the rainy pattern. I think that there's cycle actually. So it's basically, it's a bit like what we had. Let me show you. So yesterday was extremely stuffy, and there was rain during the night. So it was basically going up to 35 yesterday, stuffy. Then there was a rainy event at night. Today, the temperature might be 21, 22. You can see what people are wearing. They are a bit further away, but they are all in sweaters, even locals. And we are waiting for another raining event to happen. So there's wind now. I suspect that it's going to rain again with some thunder. And so temperature will cool down a bit further, maybe go down to 15 degrees. And then progressively, we enter in a new cycle of like blue sky, and the temperature will slowly rise up to going toward the stuffy stage at 30, 35 degrees, and then bam, another raining event. Combined with the fact that farmers are burning their land, and I would assume that the practice is like, okay, if my labor is starting to burn part of his land to regenerate the pasture, then I do the same. So everyone is copying each other, so it generates more fire, more particle in the air, and just exacerbate the whole process, right? So I would say, yeah, it's basically cycled. So it's not when people say it's 30 degrees in winter and 40 degrees in summer, it's extremely a reductive thought and viewpoint. It's way more complicated than that. It's up and downs, it's windy, it's not windy, it's clear sky, it's overcast sky. But all in all, it's really, I think it's really not bad, except the fact that, yeah. So I haven't experienced summer. I suspect that when it is 40 up to 45 degrees, it's really hot. You don't feel like going outside. Even when it's 35 degrees and I go outside, you don't see much people at all, actually. It's even worse. So if you live inside a city like Ascension, it's even worse. You can add a number of degrees combined with the pollution from the car, which is pretty bad in Ascension, given that the type of car are mostly pickups and trucks. The emission is really bad. They should work on that, to be frank, definitely. But then in the countryside, you can remove a number of degrees. And it's funny because sometimes when I walk, depending on the street, even in the same town, depending on the street where I will walk, depending on the fact that there's more trees and the type of trees, you can remove really a number of degrees. It's very surprising, which tells you that actually for the place where you live, if you pick it rightly, of course you're gonna move, right? You're not staying at your place all year round, but you're gonna spend a significant number of hours per day at your place. Then you can factor this in terms of like what tree do I opt for, what altitude, what setup, what context, and things like that. If for those who have land, I went to pieces of land where if you have a wall of natural stones, basically, right, with some water flowing, then you can easily remove 5 degrees, definitely. Your exposition versus the sun is important as well. So there's really a checklist, basically, that you could go through to make sure that what you purchase or where you will live will match your expectation in terms of temperature, humidity, weather, basically, right? Because maybe some of you just don't care. Some people, they love, well, I don't know anyone who really loves super hot and stuffy, maybe. Like, for instance, living in Singapore, where there's constant 90-95% humidity and massive heat. Usually people don't like that and protect themselves from it with air conditioning. Which is also common in Paraguay, given that electricity is not expensive. But that's it. If you have any other question on the weather, if you think I'm missing some critical piece of information, please let me know. It's important that, so weather is one of the key variables people consider when moving to another place. And so it's very important that you've got access to accurate information so that you don't arrive here and then say like, oh shit, it's too hot, I don't like it, I don't think I can live here. No, that would be a big mistake, right? Especially that the cost of moving in terms of energy, time, and effort is important. Cheers.